In the 1970s, in the quiet town of Dhubri, Assam, a judge lived in a government bungalow. He was a man of law, of discipline, of respect. His name was Upendra Nath Rajkhowa. By day, he symbolized justice. But by night, that very house would become the setting for one of India's most disturbing family murders. Rajkhowa shared the bungalow with his wife, Putuli, and their 3 daughters, Nirmali, Jonali, and Rupali. To outsiders, they were the picture of a respectable family. No one suspected that inside those walls, he was preparing something dark and deliberate. In January 1970, he gave a strange order. Peons were told to dig 2 trenches in the bungalow compound. When asked why, he replied casually, "For planting flowers." But those pits were never meant for gardens. They were graves waiting for bodies. On the night of February 10, 1970, the day of Saraswati Puja, Rajkhowa sent his staff out to enjoy the festivities. At around 8:30 p.m., neighbors saw him return home with his wife, Putuli, and eldest daughter, Nirmali. What happened next was never meant to be seen. Inside that house, both were bludgeoned to death. And where were the other 2 daughters? Jonali and Rupali were away in Guwahati, staying with their maternal uncle while studying at Handit Girls' College. At the time of the first killings, they were safe, unaware that their mother and sister had already been murdered. The bodies of Putuli and Nirmali were buried in the freshly dug pits, one behind the bungalow bathroom, another on the eastern side of the compound. To conceal the horror, flower trees were planted on top. A garden of deception, blooming where innocence lay hidden. Weeks later, Rajkhowa began to weave lies. To some, he said his wife and daughter were in Guwahati. To others, that they were away in Kokrajhar. Each story bought him time, but soon, he would need to finish what he had started. On February 14, 1970, the younger daughters, Jonali and Rupali, returned to Dhubri. Their father told them their mother and sister had gone to visit relatives. For 11 days, the girls lived in that bungalow, never knowing the truth buried beneath its soil. On February 25, 1970, they were last seen alive. That night, just like before, Rajkhowa struck. His daughters asked questions about their mother, and he lied again. Hours later, both Jonali and Rupali were dead, murdered inside the same house that had already swallowed half their family. Their bodies joined the others in the compound, hidden under the flower beds. To outsiders, the bungalow looked peaceful, blooming with plants. But beneath the flowers lay 4 shallow graves. As weeks passed, neighbors grew uneasy. Rajkhowa now told them his family had gone to Delhi, but no one in Delhi had seen them. Letters were never answered. The lies began to unravel. His brother-in-law, Bharata Charan Sarma, a senior police officer, grew suspicious. He pressed for answers. Investigators began to question the staff, who admitted they had been ordered to dig pits. They pointed to the flower beds, the very spots where the earth had been disturbed. The cook, Umesh Baishya, revealed the truth under interrogation. He had been threatened with death if he didn't help bury the bodies. The story was horrific, but it fit every piece of evidence. By April 1970, Rajkhowa fled Dhubri and checked into a hotel in Siliguri. When police cornered him, he tried to end his life in the bathroom, but he survived and was arrested. The judge who once sent men to prison now stood accused of killing his own family. Back at the bungalow, investigators dug up the flower beds. Beneath the blooming plants, they uncovered the remains of Putuli, Nirmali, Jonali, and Rupali. The garden had been a graveyard all along. The trial was swift. The prosecution laid out the timeline. The pits dug in January, The murders of wife and eldest daughter on February 10th, the younger daughters lured back from Guwahati and killed on February 25th, and the bodies buried under flower trees. The evidence was overwhelming. Upendra Nath Rajkhowa was sentenced to death. His cook, Umesh Baisya, received life imprisonment. With his execution, Rajkhowa became the only judge in India ever to be hanged for murder.
We interrupt this program for an urgent news update.
An unprecedented event has shaken the nation.
A high-profile judge has been executed for murder.
And yet the greatest mystery remains unsolved. Why did he do it? Rajkhowa never gave a reason. No confession of motive, no explanation, no final words. He carried the secret to his grave. In Dhubri, his bungalow came to be known as haunted, a cursed house where flowers once grew over hidden graves. Locals swore they heard whispers at night. Books and films have tried to capture the case, including the Rajkhowa Murders, a case that shocked India, and a forthcoming adaptation starring Nawazuddin Siddiqui. But no matter how many times the story is retold, one truth lingers. A respected judge, a trusted father, destroyed his own family, and never told the world why.
Like, share, and subscribe for more. Comment your thoughts below.